no matter the location. From OAKLA to LV, I'm a Raider.
Knock on wood if you're with me, or like this video. The Raiders need to sign a safety. If you're not on board with me, I don't even think you're a real Raiders fan. If I got to watch what I watched this past season again, we're going to be in trouble. So on today's show, I'm going to be breaking down the top 10 safeties the Raiders need to go out and target/sign in free agency. So hopefully everyone watching likes the video. Let's look at free agency from the Raiders' perspective here. The start date, March 17th, 4 p.m. Eastern Time. The legal tampering period, which basically means you can start contacting free agents, is 48 hours before the start date. The 2021 NFL salary cap, $176 million. This is a little bit less than what it was a year before. Currently, the Raiders have minus $23.52 million in cap space. That's the 26th most in the National Football League. Obviously, that's not very good, but you can move on from a lot of players. Go check out my video, 8 salary cap cuts the Raiders can make. I mean, you can free up just about like $67 million like that. You just got to move on from some of these top contracts. So there's still no excuses for not being able to go out and get some top players. Now, this is free agency time. I understand it's the middle of January. This is when I'm going to be releasing this video. But if you want to keep up to date on what's going on with the Raiders in the offseason, maybe some players in the draft, free agency, live shows, all that good stuff, I need you to subscribe to the #1 Raiders channel here on YouTube. We got over 1,000 videos in 2 years, close to 73,000 subs. It helps me out a lot. This is how I pay my bills, how I put food on the table, how I support my family. And all I ever ask you guys to do, subscribe, support the show, and turn on those notifications. So the way that I ended up ranking these free agent safeties, I did it based on talent. I did it based on overall contract, what I think it's going to end up costing them, and fit. Because fit is a major need, especially for the Raiders, and how they end up inserting themselves into this Gus Bradley defense. At number 10, I got JAQUISKI TARTT, who played some strong safety, free safety for the San Francisco 49ers. He is an athletic player who I do honestly think can play any safety spot. Now, this past season, missed 9 games in 2020, was dealing with some turf toe, and has really dealt with a lot of, I'll say, lingering smaller injuries throughout his entire career. Think about this. 50 starts in 6 seasons in the NFL. He has never played a full season either with 6+ games. But did have 30 tackles last year, an interception, 4 pass breakups, 28 years old, 6'1", 215 pounds. He is a physical, athletic dude. But at a certain point, I am going to be a little bit worried the older and older he gets, he's not going to be able to rely so much on the athletic ability. He's going to have to start relying on some other skill set and technique. At number 9 here, I got XAVIER Woods, a versatile safety who can also play in the slot. Remember how the Raiders went out and got LaMarcus Joyner? I think they were honestly hoping they'd get a guy like XAVIER Woods here, who he's at his absolute best when he's playing near the line of scrimmage. So if you're going to play man, if you're going to play press man, this is the dude that I actually think could really, really help out this team. And if they end up bringing him in, you can already say sayonara to LaMarcus Joyner. However, you also still need a safety that can cover. He is a average safety, I'll say, at best, at being able to cover the deep ball. Yes, he had 72 tackles, 0 interceptions, and a pass breakup for the Cowboys, but the Dallas Cowboys were one of the worst defenses in all of football this past year. But he is still only number 9 on my list. Don't worry, we got some other names coming up here. So, XAVIER Woods at number 8. We're at number 9. So how about this? Who should be the Raiders' #1 safety target in 2021? I'm going to end up making this the pinned comment on today's video. So when y'all come across this on YouTube, it's going to be the very, very first comment on this video, and I want everyone to go comment on it. Who should be the Raiders' #1 safety target in 2021? Probably one of the most under-the-radar players, at least for Raiders people out there, RAYSHAWN Jenkins, at number 8 on my list here. The reason why I have him over TARTT and Woods, not because of talent, because of fit. He's played in the Gus Bradley system for 4 years, okay? And the more and more he plays in it, the better and better he's getting. This is your more of a true safety, more of a center fielder, much better in coverage. Can also blitz a little bit too when he's asked upon, but 5 interceptions the past 2 seasons, okay? So when you look at his 2020 stats, 84 tackles, 2 picks, 4 pass breakups. All the players that you see ranked on today's video, RAYSHAWN Jenkins might actually be the cheapest contract you're going to be able to go out and get. He made less than $1 million last year. He's a player, knows the system, could be a good fit. So if you want to go out and spend on some of these other big-ticket players like Leonard Williams, like somebody else who you're going to see on this video, you can also pair it with RAYSHAWN Jenkins. I like that a lot. Now, we are trying to save some money as well, right? 2020 kicked our butt a little bit. So what I always try to do here on the show is find you guys the best deals going on around the internet. If you guys need a new Raiders hat, chatsports.com/Raiders hats. I've seen some of these brand new hats as low as $18.74. Now, most of them are 25, and I believe some of them are even 30% off for a limited time. If you like a snapback, if you like the curved brim, the trucker hat, it's getting cold in some areas as well. If you want a nice little beanie, we got you covered. We got men's, youth, children hats. Literally, if you are a Raiders fan and you're sitting there being like, man, I need a new Raiders hat, how can I get a good deal? Chatsports.com/Raiders hats. The hats that you've just seen come up on screen, that's like a 10th of them, a 20th of them. I don't know if that number even makes sense. However, hundreds of hats, that's all I'm trying to say. In the description, in the comments below, chatsports.com/Raiders hats. Let's go to the number 7 player here on my free agent safety targets for the Las Vegas Raiders. I got KEANU, who, when he was drafted in the first round in 2016, a lot of people talk about how great that Falcons offense was. Remember with Matt Ryan, they went to the Super Bowl. Not nearly enough people talked about how great the defense was, especially at least being able to force turnovers. KEANU in 2016 and 2017, I would have made the argument, is going to be the new best safety in all of football. Like, that's how good he was. Then, 2018 and 2019 hit. A lot of injuries. He was only able to play 4 games in those 2 years. But if you're looking for somebody who can play good range, and he's solid in zone coverage, which being solid in zone and being able to have a large range of the field, it's important in the Gus Bradley system. And also this, the 3 years where he played them more than 14 games, all of those years, at least 1 interception and over 100 tackles. The player that the Raiders were hoping for when they drafted Jonathan Abram, and I'm convinced of this, it is KEANU. So if you can get a healthy KEANU, I actually would make the argument he could be a lot higher on this list. At number 6, it's Malik Hooker, and I'm saying it now, and I've been saying it for weeks. If the Raiders bring in Malik Hooker, the most popular Raiders jersey sold will be Hooker. And if it's not number 69, shame on you. So bring him in for a 1-year prove-it deal. Why not? Because I'll say this. When he is healthy, you can't deny the elite of talent. Like, you just can't deny it. He is one of the best safeties in football. But out of all the players that I've talked about, injuries have absolutely killed his career. 28 games, okay, missed in 4 seasons. Suffered a torn Achilles in 2020. If he comes in, if he passes his clear medical checks, if he passes his physical and he looks like he's ready to go, this should be a player that the Raiders could be interested in and should be interested in. Now, obviously, the numbers weren't that great last year. It's what happens when you play in only, 70 snaps, 1 game. But he's still only 24 years old. He's played multiple years in the National Football League, and when healthy, he is a good player. Like, that is something I absolutely promise you. Now, the reason also I'm about to ask you this question, because Malik Hooker and KEANU fall into the same realm of player where, when healthy, they're great. But do you want to roll the dice and go with one of these players who have suffered major injuries already early on in their career? But let's just say you're trying to penny pinch a little bit. Let's just say you're willing to roll the dice here in Vegas, and you're going to go out and get one of these top safeties that, sure, has a little bit of an injury history. Do you go with Malik Hooker? Type MH. Or do you go with KEANU? I want you to type KN. Now, if you guys, don't see a safety on the list here, remember, DM me. Let's talk some Raiders, because I do take a lot of pride in the work that I have here, but I also make this show because I want you guys to have a good time and give me trending topics. So if you want to see some other players on some of these other lists, if you just want to talk Raiders, slide in my DMs. They're open for a reason. At Mitchell Renz 365 on Instagram. Let's get into my top 5. Now, this is like a clear tier break, okay? If you can get one of these top 5 players, you absolutely kill free agency. Like, I'm telling you, you have to come away with one of these top 5 guys. When healthy, one of the best one of the best free safeties in all of football. When you look at some PFF grades, he's been the top 3 safety 2 out of the last 3 years. In 2019, he was bad because he suffered a lot of injuries. 7 INTs, though, the past 3 years. If you guys want a baseball reference, he can be your true center fielder, which is something that is important in a Gus Bradley system. Not only that, dude can tackle. Tackling machine, 350 tackles in 4 years, and another player when he's played 16 games, he's gotten over 100 tackles. 105 tackles in 2020, 119 tackles in 2018. He can force turnovers, he can tackle, he can do a lot of things. And most recently, he was on Instagram talking about becoming a Raiders player and said, you know, Mike Mayock, he likes those guys from Boston College. You know where I went to college, right? That's Boston College. John Johnson is a player, the more and more I watch him, the more and more I am hoping he's repping silver and black. At number 4 on my list here, Marcus Maye. The big theme last offseason for the Raiders was versatility. How can we find players, be able to plug and play them, move them all over the football field? If that's still what the Raiders are trying to do, Marcus Maye might actually be a little bit higher on this list. The past 2 seasons, he's played at least 400 snaps at free safety, 200 snaps at strong safety, and 125 snaps in the slot. He can break up passes. He can stop the run. He might be one of the best overall versatile safeties in all of football. Plus, the thing that I respect most about Maye was, remember all the hype around Jamal Adams, right? As soon as Jamal Adams left, Maye actually started to play better. Like, his game improved. He took it upon himself to not only be a leader in the locker room, but also be a leader on the field. Those are the type of players that I really, really want here. So, 88 tackles last year, 2 picks, 11 pass breakups, only 27 years old. Marcus Maye is number 4 here on my list. But again, these are players, my 5, 4, and 3, they're all in a tier. 2 and 1, they're in, again, a little bit of a different tier. So right now, is safety the Raiders' biggest need? Y for yes or type N for no? I don't know if it's the biggest need, but it might be number 2, right? Like for me, it's defensive line. You can argue DT, edge, either one, and then safety. Gus Bradley needs to be able to have a good defensive line, but you also need to be have solid secondary. Way too often this year, the Raiders got absolutely burnt on plays that had no business getting burned on. Y for yes, N for no. Is safety the Raiders' biggest need? Top 3, Marcus Williams. You want to talk about upside. You want to be able to try to find the next Justin Simmons, the next safety that could end up being the best player in 3 years. I'm a believer that it's Marcus Williams. So already 4 years of NFL experience at age 24. And we need somebody that can cover. One of the best true safeties in all of football. Also solid against the run, but his elite coverage skills is one of the reasons why I am super intrigued by him. So when you talk about the New Orleans Saints, a lot of times people always bring up Drew Brees, Michael Thomas, Alvin Kamara, the offense. Not nearly enough do people bring up the defense. The biggest reason why, when you look at the Saints taking that next step defensively over the last, we'll say, 3 to 4 years, I think it's because you saw a star emerge in Marcus Williams. In 2020, 59 tackles, 3 picks, 7 pass breakups. It's hard to be able to find a player with this much skill set, especially this elite coverage ability, at only 24 years old that has already played in not only, what's the right word I'm looking for? Not only a lot of games, but games that are actually important, like meaningful football games. The Saints have won the NFC South 4 straight years. Marcus Williams has been a part of that Saints team for 4 straight years, which I definitely think is very important. So here were some other safeties that the Raiders could potentially go out and look at if maybe money's tight or maybe some of those other guys get signed. Jalen Mills can still be an all-around pretty solid dude. Deron Harmon, Raven Green, Carl Joseph. Yes, I would end up bringing back Joseph. However, it would probably be like a 1-year prove-it deal. Can you end up getting it done? Also a solid special teams player. Tayshaun Gibson. I understand him and Harmon are the older players, but still, if you got to penny pinch a little bit, here are some other dudes. Safeties that I'm going to avoid. I don't want Josh Jones at 26. If I hear one more person say, well, Mitch, he had 83 tackles. He was one of the worst coverage safeties in all of football last year. Sean Williams made over $11 million last year. I don't care. I wouldn't pay him anywhere close to that. Daniel Sorensen, he's in the Super Bowl. He's on the AFC West or in the AFC West. I still think he is one of the most overrated players on that Chiefs team. Dean Marlowe, no thank you. Andrew Sadejo, 34. The numbers have just continued to go down and down for him. Those are safeties that the Raiders should avoid. Top 2 time, Anthony Harris, one of the best safeties the past 3 years. A lot of times when you see a player come out, you're like, oh, wow, he had a great year, or oh, wow, he had a great 2-year stand. If you can be one of the best players at your position for 3 straight years, that's not a fluke. Coverage, that's what he's best at here. When you think about this, a lot of people are like, oh, he had no interceptions this past year. I think it's a fluke. He had 3 picks in 2018, 6 interceptions in 2019. You don't get 6 interceptions just by accident. The Minnesota Vikings literally threw away and burnt down like their entire defense this offseason, and he still was very successful. 7 pass breakups, 104 tackles, the best defensive player on that team. You might be able to make an argument for Harrison Smith as well, but if you need a safety and like a true, I'll say like Raider, Anthony Harris might be that dude. And at number 1, no surprise if you watch my show a lot, you'll know that I absolutely love Justin Simmons, and in fact, he's my number 1 player that I think the Raiders should target in safety or in free agency overall. You could make the argument the best safety in the National Football League. 2 straight years of 90-plus tackles, 9 pass breakups, and 4 interceptions. That's just ridiculous production. 3 straight years with over 1,000 snaps. I want somebody that doesn't want to come off the field. I want somebody that knows our enemies as well as anybody. That's Justin Simmons. And realistically, if you got to pay him $17 million a year, I'm okay with that because to me, he is worth every single penny. 27 years old, 96 tackles, 5 INTs, 9 pass breakups. I mean, this dude is everything that you want in a safety. He can tackle, he can blitz, he can run. Producer Sam, he's a Broncos fan. He's like, you can't have him. Well, guess what? I want him. Sounds a little bit perverted, but that's okay. He is the number 1 player. The Raiders should go out and get this free agency period. It's a reason he's my number 1 safety target. So obviously, I'm going to type JS here for Justin Simmons. He's my number 1 player. But if you guys disagree with me, it's okay. That's what this show is about. It's about having adult conversations because I do go in the comments. I see what you guys have to say. And if you're the person that's like, it's my way or the highway, 1, it's going to be a tough life for you. 2, this isn't going to be the show for you. So all I want you guys to do, who's the best safety out there? If it's Anthony Harris, type AH. If it's Justin Simmons, type JS. If you think it's somebody totally different, comment their name below. So before I leave y'all, I'm just going to take you through one more time my top free agent safeties in 2021. Sorry for the typo up top. But bottom line is this. Overall, when I look at some of these players here, so much talent. And this is a clear tier break. If the Raiders can come away getting one of these top 5 guys, you did a great job in free agency. I know they're going to be expensive, and I know that they're going to be barely sought after. But whoever the cheapest option is in one of these top 5 players is another thing that the Raiders should definitely look into going out and absolutely getting. The final 5 players here that I talked about on today's show, Malik Hooker, Keanu Neal, RAYSHAWN Jenkins, who, don't be surprised if he's repping silver and black because of his connections with Gus Bradley, Xavier Woods, JAQUISKI, TARTT. If you guys disagree with my list, as always, seriously, hit me up. Let me know if there's other players that I should go ahead and look at. But those are my top 10 safeties the Raiders should go out and sign in 2021 free agency.